My name is Amanda Miller, and I am 32 years old. Exactly 21 days ago, I was on the verge of death on my bathroom floor while my mother prioritized a Taylor Swift concert over the safety of her own grandson. The hemorrhaging began without any warning. At 4:00 p.m., I was simply changing the diaper of my 3-week-old son, Noah. A moment later, I felt a sudden, warm gush that soaked through my clothes. I looked down to find blood, a terrifying amount of it. It was a postpartum hemorrhage, the kind of complication everyone warns you about, yet you never truly believe will happen to you. My husband, Brian, was an hour away at his job in downtown Los Angeles. Noah was hungry and crying, and I had just begun to nurse him when the bleeding started. My hands trembled so violently I could barely grasp my phone. I dialed 911 immediately. "Ma'am, how much blood are we talking about?" the dispatcher asked. "I don't know, a lot. I'm soaking through pads every few minutes. I feel faint." "I'm dispatching paramedics now. Are you by yourself?" "I have a 3-week-old baby. My husband is working. I need help, the room is spinning." I gripped the counter to stay upright. "Stay on the line. Is there anyone nearby who can watch the baby while we transport you?" Noah was screaming by then, that specific, piercing newborn cry that shatters your heart. "I'll call my mother. She lives 20 minutes away." "Call her right now. I'll stay on the line." I put the dispatcher on speakerphone and with shaking fingers called my mom. She picked up on the 4th ring. "Amanda, what's wrong? I'm having lunch with your sister." "Mom, I need you. I'm hemorrhaging, postpartum bleeding. Paramedics are on their way. I need you to come get Noah immediately." There was a pause. I could hear the ambient noise of a restaurant in the background, laughter and music, while I was bleeding out. "Are you sure this isn't just a heavy period? You know how you always overreact to health issues." "Mom, I've soaked through 3 pads in 15 minutes. I'm dizzy. I can barely stay upright. This is a medical emergency." "Well, how long will this take? Your sister and I have plans tonight. We're seeing Taylor Swift at the Forum." Those tickets were $800 apiece. I let out a hysterical, incredulous laugh. "Mom, I am in a medical crisis. I need you to look after your grandson." "Amanda, I finished raising my own children. You need to figure your own situation out. That is what motherhood is about. Besides, we've had these tickets for months. It's her Renaissance tour, her final one. We can't miss it." "I'm bleeding to death." "You're being dramatic. You're fine. Just lie down and elevate your feet. If it's still bad later, go to urgent care." The dispatcher's voice cut in. "Ma'am, the paramedics will be there in 3 minutes." "Mom, did you hear that? They're almost here. I need you to come watch Noah." "Amanda, I'm not canceling my plans because you're having a bad day. Call Brian." "Call a friend. Hire a sitter. You're an adult. Handle it." I heard my sister's voice in the distance. "Is Amanda okay?" "She's fine," my mother replied to her. "Just being dramatic about some bleeding. You know how she is." Then, returning to me, "We have to go. Our appetizers are here. Feel better, honey." She hung up. I stared at my phone, blood pooling around me, my newborn son wailing, realizing my mother had just chosen Taylor Swift tickets over my life. The dispatcher spoke gently. "Ma'am, is there anyone else?" "My husband, but he's an hour away." "Call him. The paramedics are arriving now." 2 male paramedics in their 40s found me on the floor, with Noah crying in his bassinet nearby. "How much blood have you lost?" The first one asked, already checking my vitals. I don't know a lot. I'm 3 weeks postpartum. It started an hour ago. Blood pressure is 80/50. Pulse is 140. She's going into shock, he said to his partner. We need to move fast. They began an IV while I called Brian. Babe, I'm on my way, he said. When I explained the situation, his voice tightened with fear. I'll get there as fast as I can. Noah, I'll call my mom. She's closer. She'll be there in 30 minutes. The paramedics have to go now. We'll find someone to ride with you or call emergency child care. Amanda, you'll figure it out. Just stay conscious. The second paramedic was already on his phone. I'm contacting our pediatric transport unit. They can either take the baby with you or arrange immediate care. Suddenly, I remembered a card my doula had given me at my baby shower. A contact for emergency newborn services for mothers who shouldn't have to choose. There's a service, I said. In my hospital bag, there's a card. Emergency newborn care. One of the paramedics found it and called while they moved me onto the gurney. A woman answered instantly. Emergency newborn services, this is Sarah. As I need immediate help, I managed, my voice frail. Postpartum hemorrhage, 3-week-old baby, no family available. I'm being transported to Mayo Clinic. We'll have a specialist at Cedars before you get there. What does Noah need? I explained his feeding schedule, his bassinet, and his favorite swaddle. She took notes with a calm, professional efficiency. Our specialist, Melissa, is 15 minutes from Cedars. She's a postpartum doula and a pediatric nurse. She'll meet the ambulance, take Noah, and care for him until your husband or mother-in-law arrives. Our emergency rate is $150 per hour with a 4-hour minimum. Whatever it costs, just please take care of my baby. Amanda, your son will be fine. You just focus on the hospital. We have Noah. As they wheeled me out, Noah was strapped into his car seat beside the gurney. I did something I had been doing for a decade, a secret I had kept from Brian until 2 years ago. It was something that had drained my resources and given me nothing in return. With blood-stained, trembling hands, I opened my banking app. I accessed the automatic transfer I had set up when I was 22 and landed my first job after college. $5,000 sent on the first of every month for 10 years. It began when my parents claimed they were struggling after my father's business partner embezzled from them. When Mom said they might lose their house, or that they were spread thin while my sister Stephanie was in grad school, Dad had insisted it was just until we recover. 10 years later, that temporary aid had become permanent. My father's business was now booming, and Stephanie was making a 6-figure salary, yet I kept sending the money because they never told me to stop, and I believed that was what a dutiful daughter did. $5,000 a month, 12 months a year, for 10 years. That totaled $600,000. $600,000 given to parents who wouldn't even drive 20 minutes to protect their grandson while I was bleeding to death. My blood pressure continued to plummet. The paramedic was speaking urgently to the hospital. With my remaining strength, I canceled the automatic transfer. Then, I initiated a new one, $5,000 per month into a trust account for Noah, for his future, his education, whatever he might need. The money my mother valued more than my life would now go to the grandson she couldn't be bothered to protect. Ma'am, stay with us, the paramedic urged. We're almost there. Everything began to fade to gray at the edges. I awoke in the ICU with Brian gripping my hand, tears streaming down his face. Hey, I whispered, my throat raw from the breathing tube they had removed. Oh, thank God. He kissed my forehead, my cheeks, and my hands. "You're going to be okay. Noah is with Melissa, the specialist. He's doing great. My mom is driving in from Phoenix. She'll be here in an hour." He wiped his eyes. "Amanda, you almost died. You lost 3 liters of blood. They had to perform emergency surgery for retained placental tissue. The baby is perfect. Melissa sent me pictures." He showed me his phone. Noah was swaddled in his favorite blanket, sleeping soundly in a professional bassinet. Melissa had organized an entire mobile nursery in my hospital room. "She's been with him for 6 hours," Brian said. "She refuses to leave until family arrives. She's been pumping for you, bottle feeding him, doing skin to skin. Amanda, this stranger has done more for our son in 6 hours than your mother ever has." He paused, his expression hardening. "What did your mom say when you called her?" I told him everything: the lunch, the Taylor Swift tickets, the comment about having finished raising her own kids, and the accusation that I was being overdramatic. Brian stood up so abruptly his chair tipped over. "She told you to figure it out while you were hemorrhaging, while her 3-week-old grandson needed help." His voice grew louder. "Where is she? Is she here?" "I don't know. I don't care." "I care. I care a lot." He pulled out his phone. "Brian, don't." But he was already dialing. It rang twice before my mother answered. "Brian, how is Amanda? We've been so worried. The concert just finished and we saw your messages." Brian's voice was like ice. "You've been worried. You spent the last 4 hours at a Taylor Swift concert while Amanda underwent emergency life-saving surgery." "Emergency surgery? Brian, you're exaggerating. Amanda mentioned she was having some bleeding. That's normal postpartum stuff." 3 liters, Barbara. She lost 3 liters of blood. Her blood pressure was 80/50 when the paramedics arrived. She went into shock. She could have died." There was silence on the other end. Well, how were we supposed to know it was that serious? Amanda is always dramatic about medical issues. "She told you she was hemorrhaging. She told you the paramedics were coming. She begged you to watch Noah." Brian was shaking with fury. "And you said no because you had concert tickets." Those tickets were very expensive. We couldn't just." "I don't give a damn about your concert tickets. Your daughter nearly died. Your grandson was left with strangers because his grandmother couldn't be bothered." "That's not fair. We came as soon as the concert was over." 4 hours later, Amanda was already in surgery. We'd already hired emergency care. We didn't need you anymore because you made it clear you wouldn't show up when it mattered. My mother's tone turned frigid. "Brian, I realize you're upset, but you are being incredibly disrespectful. We are Amanda's parents. We deserve." "You deserve nothing. You lost that privilege the moment you chose entertainment over your daughter's life." He hung up. Then he did something I will never forget. He blocked her number. Then Stephanie S. Then my father's. "They aren't visiting," he stated flatly. "They aren't meeting Noah again until you decide. If you ever decide you want them in his life, fine, but right now they have no access to you or our son." I should have pushed back. I should have told him it was too extreme, but all I felt was relief. Dr. Sterling, the OB who performed my surgery, arrived an hour later. She was in her 50s, with kind eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor. "Amanda, you are incredibly lucky. Another 30 minutes and we would have been looking at a hysterectomy or worse." She sat down. "You had significant retained placental tissue, which caused catastrophic bleeding. We had to surgically remove it and repair the damage to your uterine wall." Will I be able to have more children? Yes, but you'll need to wait at least 18 months and it will be a high-risk pregnancy. We'll monitor you closely. She paused. Amanda, I have to ask, when you called your mother for help, what exactly did she say? I recounted the conversation. Dr. Sterling's expression went very still. She stood up. Excuse me for a moment. She walked into the hallway and I could hear her voice, sharp and clear. Mrs. Price, I'm Dr. Morrison, Amanda's obstetrician. I understand you're in the waiting room. Yes, we've been here for an hour, my mother replied. They won't let us see Amanda. Her husband is being completely unreasonable. I am the one who gave that order. Amanda is not accepting visitors except for approved family. We are family. We are her parents. Let me be extremely clear about what happened to your daughter today. She suffered a postpartum hemorrhage due to retained placental tissue. When she called you, she was already in early shock. Her blood pressure was critically low. She was bleeding at a rate that would have killed her within the hour. My mother was silent. She called you her mother and pleaded for help with her 3-week-old infant. According to her medical history notes, you refused because you had concert tickets. Is that accurate? We didn't know it was that serious. She told you she was hemorrhaging. She told you paramedics were on their way. What part of that did not sound serious? Amanda tends to exaggerate. Stop, Dr. Sterling's voice cut through like glass. Your daughter almost died today. She lost half her blood volume. We had to perform emergency surgery. She will need weeks of recovery. And your initial response when she called for help was that you had already raised your kids and she needed to figure it out yourself. I didn't mean. I have been an OB for 27 years. I have seen many family dynamics, but I have never, in my entire career, had a grandmother refuse to help during a life-threatening postpartum emergency because of concert tickets. You don't understand. Those tickets were very expensive and your daughter's life was worthless by comparison. Your grandson's need for family support meant nothing compared to a concert. Dr. Sterling's voice dropped to a low, intense tone. Mrs. Price, I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to think very carefully before you answer. What question? If Amanda had died on that bathroom floor while you were at your concert, would the show have been worth it? The silence that followed was so profound I could hear it from my hospital bed. Then, my mother's voice came out, smaller. That's not fair. And neither is abandoning your daughter during a medical emergency. I suggest you contemplate that before you attempt to see her again. Footsteps followed and Dr. Sterling returned to my room. I'm sorry, she said. I don't usually get involved in family matters, but as your physician, I have to document why you lacked family support during a critical emergency. Mrs. Price's reasoning was so negligent that I felt compelled to address it. Oh, what did she say? Nothing coherent. She left the hospital about 30 seconds after I asked her my question. What question? Dr. Sterling offered a grim smile. Whether the concert would have been worth it if you had died. Brian's mother, Alina, arrived from Phoenix at 9:00 p.m. She rushed into my room, still in her work clothes, carrying bags of supplies. Oh, honey. She hugged me carefully, avoiding the IV lines. I came as fast as I could. I brought everything. Nursing pads, comfortable pajamas, the mesh underwear from the hospital, nipple cream, everything. You didn't have to do all this. Of course I did, your family. She turned to Brian. Where is my grandson? With Melissa in the family room. She's been incredible. Alina went to meet Noah and returned 20 minutes later with him in her arms, tears streaming down her face. He's perfect, absolutely perfect. She looked at me. Melissa briefed me on his entire routine. She's been keeping detailed notes. Amanda, this woman is a saint. Melissa, the specialist, came in to say goodbye. She was in her 40s, calm and capable. Noah is all set, she said. I've left detailed notes for Alina. He's been fed, changed, and has had plenty of cuddles. You did great today, Amanda. You made the hard calls when it mattered. Thank you. I don't know how to. You already did. You protected your baby when you were literally bleeding out. That is what mothers do. She paused. The bill for my services will be sent to your insurance. Most cover emergency postpartum care, but even if they don't, you made the right decision. Once she had left, Alina settled into the chair with Noah. I'm staying as long as you need me. I took family leave from work. I can be here for 2 weeks. Alina, you don't have to. I want to. I'm his grandmother. This is what grandmothers do. She looked at me steadily. Brian told me what Barbara said, what she did. I looked away. Amanda, I need you to hear this. What she did was unforgivable. It's not just the refusal to help. That would be bad enough. It's the reasoning, the dismissiveness, the cruelty of telling you to figure it out while you were in crisis. Alina's voice remained firm. That is not normal, that is not okay, and you do not owe her forgiveness. She's my mother. DNA doesn't obligate you to accept abuse. And make no mistake, what she did was abusive. 3 days later, I was discharged. Alina had transformed our house into a haven for postpartum recovery. She had prepped meals for 2 weeks, organized a nursing station, arranged all of Noah's supplies, and established a schedule that allowed me to rest. You focus on healing and bonding with Noah, she said. I'll handle everything else. My mother called 17 times the first day I was home. I didn't answer. On the 4th day, a handwritten letter arrived from her. Amanda, I don't understand why you're shutting us out like this. We are your parents. We love you. We came to the hospital as soon as we could. Dr. Morrison was incredibly rude to me. She had no right to speak to me that way. I'm considering filing a complaint. The concert situation is being blown completely out of proportion. Yes, we had tickets. Yes, they were expensive, but we would have left if we'd known it was truly serious. You didn't make it sound that urgent. I think you're letting Brian and his mother poison you against us. Alina has always been jealous of our relationship with you. She's turning you against your own family. We need to talk about the money situation, too. We just realized the monthly transfer stopped. We're assuming it's a banking error, but we need you to check on it. We have bills due. Please call us. We miss you and Noah. Love, Mom. I read it twice, searching for any sign of accountability, understanding, or a genuine apology. All I found was deflection, blame, and a demand for money. I wrote back. You're right that Dr. Sterling was harsh. She was harsh because you told your hemorrhaging daughter to figure it out because you had concert tickets. She was harsh because your actions were indefensible. You didn't come as soon as you could. You came 4 hours later, after the concert ended, after I'd already had emergency surgery. You came when it was convenient, not when I needed you. The concert situation isn't being blown out of proportion. You chose entertainment over your daughter's life. Those are the facts. The money transfers weren't a banking error. I canceled them. I've been sending you $5,000 a month for 10 years. That's $600,000. You never once thanked me. You never once asked if I could afford it. You never once acknowledged where it came from. And when I nearly died, when I begged for help with your grandson, you told me you finished raising your own kids and that I needed to figure it out. That money now goes to Noah, the grandson you abandoned, the child you couldn't be bothered to protect for even 4 hours. Don't contact me again unless you're ready to take real accountability. Not excuses, not blame. Real, honest acknowledgement of what you did and why it was wrong. Amanda. I mailed the letter before I could second-guess myself. My mother showed up at my house 2 days later. Eleanor answered the door. Barbara, what do you want? I need to see my daughter. Amanda doesn't want to see you. I'm her mother. I have a right. You forfeited your rights when you abandoned her during a medical emergency, Eleanor said, her voice like steel. Leave before I call the police. You can't keep me from my own grandchild. Actually, I can. I have power of attorney while Amanda recovers, and she's made it very clear she doesn't want you here. I was listening from the bedroom while holding Noah. My mother's voice rose. This is kidnapping. You're turning Amanda against her own family. I'm protecting Amanda from people who hurt her. I never hurt her. I love her. You told her to figure it out while she was bleeding to death. That isn't love, it's neglect. My mother's voice cracked. I made a mistake. Can't she forgive me? That's not my call. But Barbara, if you want any hope of forgiveness, you have to truly grasp what you did. Don't make excuses or point fingers. Just sit with the reality that you chose a concert over your own daughter's life. It wasn't like that. It was exactly like that. And until you admit it, you aren't welcome here. I heard my mother's footsteps retreating, the car door slam, and the engine roar to life. Ellen walked back in, trembling. I'm sorry, she whispered. I know she's your mother, but I couldn't let her stay. Thank you, I said, tears streaming down my face. Thank you for protecting me when she wouldn't. 6 weeks postpartum, I went for my follow-up with Dr. Morrison. You're healing beautifully, she noted after the exam. Physically, you're recovering well, but how are you doing emotionally? Better than I expected. My mother-in-law has been amazing. Brian took paternity leave. I have a support system. And your mother's. I haven't spoken to her. She sends letters and gifts, but I don't respond. Doctor. Sterling nodded slowly. That's probably wise. Amanda, in my 27 years as an OB, I've seen countless postpartum emergencies. Crises always reveal the true nature of family dynamics. What do you mean? The people who show up during a crisis are your real family. The ones who make excuses aren't, regardless of your DNA. She leaned in. Your mother-in-law dropped everything to drive 3 hours. A professional stranger cared for your baby for 6 hours. Your husband put his career on hold for 2 weeks. That is family. And my mother chose Taylor Swift. Exactly. Believe people when they show you who they are. 3 months postpartum, my sister Stephanie called. Amanda, it's me. Please don't hang up. I almost did, but curiosity got the better of me. What do you want, Stephanie? I need to talk to you about Mom, about everything. She paused. Can we get coffee? Against my better judgment, I agreed. We met at a cafe near my home. Stephanie looked exhausted, appearing older than I remembered. Thanks for coming, she said as I sat down with Noah in his carrier. You have 30 minutes. Ellen is watching from that table. I pointed to my mother-in-law, who waved cheerfully while giving Stephanie a look that could cut glass. Fair enough. Stephanie took a breath. Amanda, I need to apologize for the concert, for not supporting you for everything. You were there, too. I was, and I'm ashamed. She stared at the table. Mom told me you were being dramatic and always overreacting to medical issues. I believed her because it was easier than challenging her. I almost died, Stephanie. I know, I didn't realize it at the time, but I do now. Even if it hadn't been that serious, I should have pushed her to help. You were 3 weeks postpartum with a newborn. You deserved support, even if it was just heavy bleeding. She hesitated. There's something else. Mom asked me to start sending her money. She claimed you cut her off over a misunderstanding and she needed help with bills. What did you tell her? I asked how much you'd been sending. She said it was just a little help here and there, so I looked into it. Stephanie met my eyes. I found your old bank statements. You left them at Mom's house years ago. Amanda, you've been sending her $5,000 a month for 10 years. Yes. That's $600,000. I'm aware. Stephanie sat back, stunned. How could you afford that? I worked 70-hour weeks. I lived in a studio apartment until I met Brian. I drove a 15-year-old car. I never took vacations. I sacrificed everything to ensure they were comfortable. Why didn't you tell me? Because every time I tried to talk about money or family responsibility, Mom would say you were in grad school or just starting your career or had student loans. You were always exempt. I've been making 6 figures for 5 years. I know, and Mom never asked you for a dime, just me, always me. Stephanie was quiet for a long time. She asked me for $4,000 a month, claiming it was temporary. I sent her $8,000 total before I started asking questions. She'll bleed you dry if you let her. I already told her no. She called me ungrateful and said I was abandoning her just like you did. Stephanie's voice trembled. I finally saw it, the manipulation. The way she uses guilt and obligation. The way she always made me the golden child and you the workhorse. It took you long enough. I know, I'm sorry. I am so sorry for all of it. She reached across the table. I don't expect you to forgive me. I just wanted you to know I see it now. I see what she did to you, what she has always done. What are you going to do about it? I cut her off financially and emotionally. I'm in therapy, trying to understand why I enabled her for so long. She paused, and I could tell she wanted to ask if there was a way to rebuild. Not now, maybe, but eventually. I looked at my sister, really looked at her. She was actually crying. Maybe, I said slowly. But Stephanie, it can't be like before. I can't be the one who always gives while you take. I can't be the responsible one while you're the fun one. That dynamic is finished. I understand. I want something different, too. I want to actually be your sister, not Mom's enforcer or her golden child, just your sister. Then prove it, do the work, stay in therapy, set boundaries with Mom. Maybe in a year or so we can try. A year? You had 32 years of preferential treatment. You can wait a year. She nodded, wiping her eyes. Fair enough. 6 months postpartum, I received a certified letter from my parents' attorney. They were suing me for breach of a financial support agreement and grandparent alienation. I immediately called our family lawyer. Robert Sterling had handled our house purchase and wills. This is nonsense, Richard said after reviewing the letter. There's no such thing as a legally binding financial support agreement unless you signed a contract. Did you? No, I just started sending money when they claimed they needed help. Then they have no case. As for grandparent alienation, California law is very specific. Grandparents have no inherent right to visitation unless they can prove it's in the child's best interest and the parents are unfit. What do I do? We respond. We document everything. The concert, the medical emergency, their refusal to help. We establish a pattern of neglect and manipulation. They won't get anywhere near Noah with this lawsuit. Can they really take me to court? They can try, but Amanda, they'll lose. More importantly, the judge will see exactly what kind of people they are. The case lasted 3 weeks before their attorney withdrew. Richard's response had been devastating: a complete timeline of my medical emergency, my mother's refusal to assist, the $600,000 I'd provided over a decade without a word of thanks, and their immediate lawsuit once the money stopped. Their lawyer called Richard personally. My clients didn't disclose the full situation. I wouldn't have taken this case if I had known. Please extend my apologies to Mrs. Price. 1 year after Noah's birth, we held a small party for close friends and Ellen. No one from my side of the family was invited. Noah was thriving, happy, and healthy. He knew his grandma, Ellen, who visited twice a month and video called every Sunday. He didn't know my mother or my father. He didn't know he had family on my side who had abandoned him before he was a month old, and I was fine with that. Ellen had baked the birthday cake, a beautiful blue and white creation with Noah's first year written in careful frosting. "To Noah," she said, raising a glass of sparkling cider. "And to the family that shows up." To showing up, we all echoed. Later, after everyone had left, Brian and I sat on the couch watching Noah sleep in his bassinet. "Do you think you'll ever talk to them again?" Brian asked. "I don't know. Maybe if they ever actually take accountability, if they ever understand what they did." I paused. "But Brian, I'm not waiting for that anymore. I'm not putting my life on hold hoping they'll become the parents I deserved." "Good, you deserve so much better." I have better. I have Ellen. I have Noah. I have a family that actually values me. My phone buzzed. A text from Stephanie, 1 year sober from mom's manipulation. "Therapy is working. I'm not asking to see Noah yet. I know I need to earn that. Just wanted you to know I'm doing the work. Happy birthday to my nephew." Red heart emoji. I showed Brian. "Are you going to respond?" "Yeah, she's actually trying. She's actually changing." As I typed back, "Proud of you. Keep going." 18 months after the hemorrhage, I got pregnant again. We didn't tell anyone for months. A high-risk pregnancy meant constant monitoring, frequent appointments, and managed stress. Dr. Sterling watched me like a hawk. "You're doing great. Blood work is perfect. Blood pressure is normal. This pregnancy is completely different." "Because I'm not stressed," I replied. "Because I'm not carrying people who drain me. My body knows the difference." At 38 weeks, our daughter Sophia was born, healthy, perfect, and an easy delivery. Alina was there within hours, tears streaming down her face as she held her granddaughter. "2 grandchildren," she whispered. "I'm so blessed." My mother sent a gift to the hospital, an expensive silver baby set engraved with "To our precious granddaughter Sophia. Love, Grandma and Grandpa." I sent it back with a note: "You are not her grandparents. You are people who abandoned her brother when he was 3 weeks old. You are people who sued me for stopping payments you never earned." You are people who have never once taken accountability for your actions. Don't send gifts for children you don't know. Don't claim relationships you haven't built. If you want to be grandparents, it starts with being decent parents. And you've never managed that. 2 years after the Taylor Swift concert, I ran into my mother at the grocery store. She looked smaller, older. Her hair had turned gray, and she had aged in a way that suggested stress rather than grace. Amanda. She stopped her cart, staring at Sophia in my carrier and Noah holding my hand. They're so big. Kids grow. Can we talk, please, just for a minute? I glanced at my children, at my watch, and at the exit that was so close. You have 5 minutes. We stood in the produce section as other shoppers moved around us. I'm sorry, Mom said. For everything, the concert, the lawsuit, all of it, I was wrong. What specifically were you wrong about? She blinked. What? What specifically? What did you do that was wrong? I chose the concert over helping you, and I shouldn't have sued you. And I took your money for years without appreciating it. These all sound like questions, not statements. She took a breath. Amanda, I don't know what you want me to say. I want you to say, I abandoned my daughter during a life-threatening medical emergency. I told her to figure it out when she was bleeding to death. I prioritized entertainment over her life. I took $600,000 from her over 10 years and never once acknowledged it or thanked her. I sued her when she set boundaries. I was a terrible mother and I'm sorry. Can you say that? She looked stunned. That's so harsh. That's honest. And Mom, until you can be honest about what you did, we have nothing to talk about. I'm trying. You're trying to avoid accountability. You're trying to gain access to my kids without doing the work. You're trying to skip the hard parts to get back to the benefits. I adjusted Sophia in her carrier. It doesn't work that way. What do you want from me? I want you to get therapy. Real therapy, not just someone who tells you what you want to hear. I want you to understand why you treat people this way, why you use them, why you value money and status over relationships. I paused. And I want you to do that for yourself, not to get access to my children. How long will that take? However long it takes. Years, maybe forever. But Mom, I'm not waiting anymore. I have a family, a real one. People who show up, people who value me. You aren't part of that family right now, and you won't be until you can prove you've changed. That's not fair. Neither is abandoning your daughter during a medical emergency. Neither is taking $600,000 without acknowledgement. Neither is suing your own child for setting boundaries. I started to push my cart away. Fair is getting what you earned, and Mom, you earned distance. I walked away without looking back. Who was that lady, Mama? Noah asked. Someone who used to be in our family. Is she in our family now? No, baby, she's not. Oh, okay. He went back to looking at the apples. My name is Amanda Price. I'm 34 years old. I'm a mother of 2, a wife, and a daughter-in-law to the best mother-in-law in the world. I used to be a daughter, too. I used to send my parents $5,000 a month, $600, 000 over 10 years. I used to believe that family meant accepting whatever treatment they dealt me. 2 years ago, I nearly died from a postpartum hemorrhage while my mother chose a Taylor Swift concert over her grandson. An ER doctor asked her one question that made her go white. If Amanda had died, would the show have been worth it? She never answered. I've lost a lot. I lost the parents I wished I had. I lost the fantasy of what family was supposed to be. I lost $600,000 that could have changed my life. But I gained everything that matters: a husband who protects me, a mother-in-law who shows up, and children who will never wonder if they're valued. I gained peace, self-respect, and freedom. My mother still sends cards on birthdays. She still tries to make contact. She still wants a relationship without accountability. And I still say no, because I learned something in that bathroom while I was bleeding out and my mother was choosing entertainment. Some people will only love you for what you provide. The moment you stop providing it, they will show you exactly who they are. Believe them. If anyone out there is funding their own mistreatment, sending money to people who don't value you, or accepting scraps of love from people who should give it freely, you deserve better. You deserve people who would drive 3 hours in the middle of the night. People who would cancel concerts for your emergencies. People who would fly across the country without being asked. You deserve a family that shows up. And if your DNA family won't be that, build a chosen family that will. Because at the end of the day, family isn't who shares your blood. Family is who shows up when you're bleeding. Drop a comment and let me know where you're listening from. And if you've walked away from family members who treated you like an ATM, you aren't alone. We're all building better families, one boundary at a time.